Welcome to another week of Huddle Up on Northwest Access Television. I'm your host, Paul. To my left, Bryce. To my right, JT and Dustin. A full panel here on Northwest Access Television. How are we all doing today?
We're doing good.
Not bad.
Not bad? Not bad? Our picks.
I finally got my hair cut. My beard's cut. I feel
Feeling good about yourself?
I am. No more itch.
No more itch. I did the same thing, but I didn't take as much off the top. I took just a little bit.
I can't do it.
Okay, so unfortunately, our picks from last week weren't as beautiful as your haircut. We went for NFL 6-8, 7-7, and 6-8. You gained up one run. You still.
That's right. If you are paying
down.
attention, this is the one you want to listen to, not these fools.
You're still down 12, but that's fine.
It's not fair.
Okay.
Oh, do you have our records for this year so far?
I do, and we'll get to that coming up with NFL Pick'ems. But first, we're going to start with show starters. To start off the show, Dustin, we're going to start with you.
Show starters. I forgot what I was going to talk about.
I was going to talk about how you hate the K-Zone.
Yes. Oh, yes. The K-Zone. The ESPN K-Zone, which is one of the worst things I have ever seen.
Awesome. Great. What ESPN games have you been watching? Because everything's been on Fox Sports 1.
I'm going back to that. Let me get there. Okay. I've enjoyed watching games on other channels because of the K-Zone not being there. I realized a couple weeks ago when I was watching things on ESPN as the season wound down that it is really annoying to have that there for the entire time, and because you never know what the umpire strike zone is going to be, having that box there is really inaccurate. And I just want to talk about that a little bit because I like the old-fashioned where sometimes they bring it up in the broadcast on pitches that are close, but I don't want it there all the time. And I think FS1, I don't like FS1's coverage of the last couple games because it seems like they're Yankees fans. But I'm just glad that we have another season gone and I don't have to see that stupid ESPN K-Zone.
Are they Yankees fans, or is the Yankees just a more fun team to watch?
Team.
I'm going to be...
There's Yankees fans spread all the way through the country.
Right.
I can tell you what, there's not a lot of Boston fans out west.
I'm going to tell you, I really don't care about baseball. Like, the playoffs are legitimately the first games I've watched all year. Mm-hmm. I have fallen in love with this Yankees team.
Of course you have.
We'll get into that because I feel like a lot of Yankees fans need to hold on a second because a lot of them are coming out all of a sudden saying, I love this Yankees team. You should have been loving them the whole year.
But when you brought up show starters, I really didn't have a lot to talk about
the
this
K-Zone.
week.
You just don't like the K-Zone.
But I just don't like the K-Zone. I wanted to say it a few weeks ago. Kind of reminded me, I was listening to a podcast a couple days ago where they talked about it, and it just reminded me of how much I absolutely hate the K-Zone. And if ESPN did away with it next year, it'd make watching
honestly
the
doesn't. I don't think it's going anywhere.
I'm going to go the opposite way.
You like that K-Zone?
I think we should get rid of the home plate ump calling strikes and balls and just rely on the K-Zone.
I agree.
Yep, I do too. But
we have the technology.
But here's the thing: is that with those strike zones, if you notice it from player to player, it doesn't change. It has to change for how big that player is. Because Altuve's strike zone and Judge's strike zone in that
different.
But in that K zone on TV, it's the same size.
Yep, you're right.
Throw it out there.
You're right.
Bryce, show starter.
I come to you all today.
Oh boy,
Practice this
Without a doubt.
when he's combing his beard in the mirror.
I come to you today as a humbled and tortured fan of the Orlando Magic.
Oh, stop.
Who are entering our 6th season of a rebuild process that has brought us such superstars as Nikola Vucevic, Elfrid Payton, and the immortal Mario Hezonja.
Who?
Exactly. You know it's bad when the most exciting offseason move is simply firing and hiring a new GM and president of basketball operations. I see you, Rob Hennigan. So I just want to offer my support.
He does not see us.
As someone as a fan of a tortured team that's just going nowhere, I want to offer my support to all those other tortured fans out there of the Buffalo Bills or...
The Bills are doing well.
Miami Dolphins.
But like
The Dolphins are 3-2.
The Buffalo Sabres. Want to offer that.
How about the Cleveland
they were good
Browns
last
and the
year,
49ers?
right.
Those are the teams that are struggling.
It's true. That's true. But I just want to say, with
New
every
York Giants.
The Giants.
with every layup that Bismack Biyombo bricks this year, I'll be holding all of those fans close to my heart.
I would like just to say, a couple weeks ago, I texted Bryce a photo. I'm like, who are these players again?
I knew them all.
Because I was like, I saw a photo like 3 Magic. I'm like, I've never seen these players in the league in my life.
It was like Evan Fournier, Alfred Payton, Nikola Vucevic, Terrence Ross.
I was just like,
Aaron
who are
Gordon.
these folks? And also, as a Charlotte Hornets Bobcats fan, I saw you tweeted about Bismack Biyombo last night. And I swear to you that I have that same tweet in my timeline 5 years ago because Bismack Biyombo's offense has surprisingly not gotten better.
I loved him 2 years ago in Toronto, and now I can't.
Now you see what this Hornets Bobcats fans have had to deal with? Yeah, Biyombo sucks.
JT, show starter.
Miserable.
I wanted to get into the fact that this year, far greater than the past few years, at least that I can remember, you have seen impactful injuries throughout each sport that kind of changed the dynamic of everything. You talk about Aaron Rodgers going out, and the National Football League our conference is completely different now. And the structure and your ability to make the playoffs now is completely different with Green Bay out of it. And then you go to basketball and you have a player like Gordon Hayward go down in the first game, and suddenly the panic button is on. Celtics are dropping off everyone's radar, saying without Hayward you can't do anything.
Here's me. Ease that finger off the panic button. Ease that finger off the panic button. We'll get to that later, but ease that finger off the panic button, Celtics fans.
And even you look at baseball and the impactful injury of Pedroia going out, and was he going to be able to return? And when he did return, why wasn't he able to perform?
Even Bogart's wrist when he got hit. Same thing. He wasn't the same after the All-Star game.
And it's happening so much. And I mean, we've seen so many injuries this year in football. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not happening to these players that are no-name players.
Yeah.
It's happening to the stars.
Right.
It's happening. The Giants have no wide receiver.
Well,
anymore.
I mean, I finally picked it up. I cracked it open, and I feel like my life is going to change. I think most of these players just have to take up the TB12 method and go from there. So, did you drop your mic? That's okay. I didn't want to hear what you had to say anyway.
You mean drink water to prevent sunburn method?
You have to drink so much water. It's insane. He drinks 3 gallons of water a day, but he's also a professional athlete, Tom Brady.
Oh.
So we're definitely going to talk about injuries in the NFL and the NBA and things like that coming up. My show starter is my appreciation for movie quotes that have kind of been sprinkled about through the broadcasts that I've seen recently, including Tony Romo with the Dumb and Dumber quote. I'm going to forget his name. Jim Nantz couldn't remember how to say Juju Smith-Schuster's name. And he's saying Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tony Romo goes, swimmy, swammy, swami, Samsonite. And I was like, wait a minute, he just quoted Dumb and Dumber. This is fantastic. He's starting to become one of my favorite announcers. And then on the other side, from baseball, they were talking about an appeal that involved Judge that had to do with tagging up, and then could you appeal it, but then you have to wait for the replay. And the announcer goes, you can't double stamp a triple stamp. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is great. Like, 2 days in a row of Dumb and Dumber quotes through sports broadcasting. And it just put a smile on my face. And I hope that there's more of that. And again.
Westbrook?
Again.
What's the way?
And again.
I was thinking about that this morning.
Tony Romo slowly becoming, actually, I should say quickly becoming one of my favorite analysts in sports right now.
It's an interesting thing, though, is will he still be good after he no longer knows the players that are on the field?
But that's the thing about Sims. Sims, when he first came in, and anyone, I mean, they are able to at least give a little bit to the broadcast for a certain amount of time. Tony Romo, because he just played, he knows a lot of these young players.
But the difference between Tony Romo and Phil Sims is that Tony Romo...
It's a different game now for that Romo understands. Sims played in a different era.
Like 10 years from now, the playbooks in the NFL are not going to change so drastically that Tony Romo still can't call plays and see formations the way he's... That's the big thing that Tony Romo has brought, because he can look at a formation and say, all right, they're going to pitch left, he's going to go cut up at the hash, and all, you know, like, he's calling out these
literally
plays
predicting what the defense is going to do before it does it.
He's reading the defense like a quarterback would from the booth, and he's also reading exactly what the offense is going to do.
He needs a little less coffee before he goes on, because sometimes
I love it.
A little too excited. But overall, man, he's so much better than Phil Sims.
Football as he'll ever see ever again in his life. He gets excited because he cannot
Also,
be on that field anymore.
Can we talk about how good Alex Rodriguez is
No.
on TV?
Yes.
He's actually kind of funny.
He's awesome on
I'm
TV.
actually excited to watch it. And
awesome on
however, I would like to remove David Ortiz from the broadcast booth because I feel like it's a little weird. But Alex Rodriguez, I actually have fully enjoyed. And he was also on an episode of Shark Tank recently, which
It was a good one.
Which I liked as
It was
well.
a good one.
I made this point with a few
Also,
friends
I
was
like
talking about.
post-baseball Alex Rodriguez more than I like
I
baseball.
think that the minute A-Rod retired, he became a great TV personality. He's great on TV. He's a great family man. He's awesome to watch. He's insightful. Like, I have fallen in love with A-Rod since he's no longer playing baseball.
Let's not
and-
say
adorable,
falling in
Dustin.
love.
That's weird.
That's
It's weird that you're sharing that with Jennifer Lopez. I'm not sure that she's going to want to share that with you. All right, look back at the NFL from Week 6. Like I said, we wanted to expand on injuries from John Showstarter. There are a lot of injuries on multiple teams, and multiple injuries on multiple teams, rather, that have completely changed the look of the NFL. And we've said, too, this whole year the NFL's been screwy. I feel like the teams that should be good aren't good. The teams that aren't good are fighting for a first place right now, i.e.,
And it's not even just teams.
the Jets or the Rams that we looked at the beginning of the year and went, new coach, Rams, and Jets. Oh no, they got everybody. They're selling the farm, and they had a chance to become the leader of the AFC East last week. So
the thing for me is it's not
Tank
just the
Commander
teams,
Josh
but it's also
McClown.
just like a defensive unit. How many top tier defenses did we look at, and none of them are doing it? And there's no consistency anywhere in the NFL right now. We had Pittsburgh, who's been struggling, go to Kansas City and just wipe the floor with them. Then you look at the Patriots, who really should have lost that Jets game off of the craziest call I've ever seen in the
and
NFL.
if McCown knew how to run a 2-minute drill.
true.
He knew how to run a 2-minute drill. That game would have been a lot different.
Here's part of the end of that game too. The Patriots actually started to bring pressure. They started blitzing their safeties, and look what happened. McCown couldn't succeed. That's what they needed to do all game, and they didn't do that.
Take our safeties out of the secondary.
But a lot of that
they weren't doing anything in the secondary anyway.
Exactly.
But a lot of that to me is the fact that it could have been a 3-point game, not a 10-point game.
Correct.
And that crazy call, right, wrong, and different, I've just never, ever seen a call like that in my life, and it boggled my mind that's a call.
What kills me more than anything, and the people aren't really bringing up, Butler knew it the second it happened. He knew what he had done. He knew how he had fumbled that ball out of his hand, and yet no one's talking about that. No one's talking about the awareness that Butler says, because he's right in that ref's face saying, "I fumbled that ball." And no one talks about that. All they talk about is the play got overturned. But the referee even said it was an obvious call. Once we went there, they said that they barely spent any time in the booth. They said once we saw it on that angle from the end zone, no brainer.
The only thing
Now, is it a weird call? Absolutely, it's a weird call.
I don't know how it can be considered a fumble when the ball doesn't. Yes, the ball is moved in his possession.
I would honestly think of it. Not an incomplete pass. I would think of it as interchanging hands. So does that mean if a runner interchanges hands while going into the end zone, is it technically a touchback too? Because he didn't have possession of it, he's bringing it to another. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, is it not?
No, it is, because if you don't have possession of the ball and it goes out of the end zone, it is a touchback. It's a very obvious call. It's a stupid rule according to some people, but that was the correct call. That is the correct rule.
We just haven't seen it before. And
you haven't seen it. And
of course, it couldn't have been like 49ers and Seattle. It had to be the Patriots.
Had to be the Patriots.
No, but I saw the replay and I'm like, no, that's not a bad call. That's the correct call. As he went across the goal line, he did not have possession of the ball, and when he got possession of the ball,
we're not arguing that. We're just saying it's the dumbest, or not dumbest, but the craziest call I've
One of the
ever
craziest
seen.
calls I've seen.
In the NFL.
And again, of course, it had to involve the Patriots of all teams.
Tuck roll.
But anyway, so back to the injuries.
Great
injury
special on
sides.
NFL Network on the Tuck Rule, by the way.
That's my
We've got
Just an hour long of Oakland fans crying.
we lost Rodgers,
Yep. Yes.
the killer of all. So Green Bay is now done. They may not win another game this year.
That's a hot take.
Win a
Not
game this
really.
year? Ooh, we might want to write that down.
You want to put money on that one?
Hey, we do not bet on the set of Huddle Up.
You keep getting yelled at for that. Stop it. You had Leonard Fournette with a scare,
But fine.
with an overextension of his knee.
Right.
Andrew Luck is still not back.
He might not be back.
No.
He has just had soreness in his shoulder. They shut him down from throwing.
Teddy Bridgewater is
He's back on practice.
officially able to practice.
Right. But now you're talking about the people coming back. So let's talk about the people that are are not coming back.
OBJ, JJ Watt,
OBJ
Aaron
was
Rodgers,
And what
Eric
was
Berry.
Clowney's injury? I didn't see the update as to what it is.
Clowney just got the wind knocked out of him. He's fine.
No, he's fine. But Merciless and
Merciless is
and JJ
gone.
Watt.
Who else?
Eric Berry or Perry.
Barry.
Berry.
That's 5 right there.
What else do we had? We had
Ryan Tannehill.
Honestly, how about one that is stopping really the Patriots from being 6-0 at this point? Julian Edelman.
oh yeah,
Edelman.
That's one of the biggest offensive impacts in the NFL right now as well.
Yep.
But that's what I mean. Is like it's completely the shift of the NFL. We looked at the team, and like I said, our picks were terrible last week, and honestly, they have been for a few weeks. Really, they're not. You look at the schedule, you pick your picks, and last week more than ever, I looked at it and went, that could be 16-0 or 14-0. Like I really feel comfortable with these. Like this almost felt like a no-brainer, and then you see your score, and it's like 6-8. You're going, this NFL season's just weird. Like I never would have expected this team to do this or this team to do that, and it's been like that for everybody that's made picks. So, but now with all these injuries that have completely shifted other divisions, it's like everyone's up for grabs. It feels like I feel like everybody's 3-3 or 3-2 or 4-2 or close to that. The only team that has an insane winning record, I guess we call the Chiefs at 5-1.
And they're the Chiefs, so they're
Eagles.
choke.
Well, the Eagles are 5-1 in the NFC, right? So, I mean, you look at it and like, okay, those are your top 2 teams right now, and it doesn't feel like they're your top 2 teams right now.
And the part that's even more insane to me is you have all these people talking about, you obviously have all the Packers fans complaining about the Rodgers hit, which was a completely legal hit. It is what it is. It sucks for your team.
You know
but
what I always
at the
try
end
to
of the
do?
day,
I
it's
try to
legal.
watch it in real motion because a lot of places when they show the replay, it's always
You
slow
slow it
motion.
down, and it looks bad.
But in slow motion, of course, it's going to look bad. But you watch it in real time, it looks like a normal hit. Like that looks. He's rolling out. He lands on him. Yeah, it landed. It was his collarbone. It does happen to any player that's happened to that's going in that like position or in that
And the argument
it
is
happened to
just
Garoppolo.
that was
His
to land.
collarbone. It was AC separation.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still the
But that's
same
what I
kind
mean.
of hit
It
where it
was the
lands
exact same
on the
hit. And like I said,
shoulder.
I was kind of upset too last year when it happened, but you get over it. Now the problem is that Packers fans aren't in the same boat that I was in last year. We could lose Jimmy Garoppolo. We still have Tom Brady coming in.
back.
It's not like you had someone else hurt and you have Aaron Rodgers coming in. So
The big argument is you're not supposed to land on the player, but a simple fact is if you are tackling somebody,
in the
what are you
process of
supposed
tackling
to do? I won't touch you. Like, how do you avoid landing on someone? You
protect the
can't.
It's easy. You
quarterback,
redshirt them. You redshirt quarterbacks for the game.
If you
Don't
want to
touch them.
protect the
Two-hand
quarterback,
touch.
Awful.
then give them a flag and play flag football.
Right.
The fact of the
It would
matter
be a
is that
disgrace.
it was a clean hit. Yes, it was slightly
And I understand
late,
it's
but he rolled out.
And I
He
understand
rolled
it's
out.
Aaron Rodgers. And I get that's a huge deal for Packers fans and the NFL. But it's also part of football. The best players. I'm more upset over J.J. Watt being out than I was Aaron Rodgers being out because that's a player I want to see every single week play. Similar to what I want for Aaron Rodgers. But that's what I'm trying to say is like it's not just Aaron Rodgers. There's a ton of all-star players that I'm upset aren't playing. You don't think I want Julian Edelman out there right now on the field? Oh my word!
And how many people want OBJ out on the field? I mean, we may not. But at the end of the day,
I'm getting my fix from watching Antonio Brown every week. Seriously.
I mean, I hate OBJ, but he's good. There's a lot of people who
Bryce
like him.
tried to do his best of segueing into our NBA preview. We'll talk about the Gordon Hayward injury. I think that clearly it's what everyone's talking about. If you're in Boston, it really sucked the life out of Boston
if you have an ankle.
for that game. Huh?
Or if you have an ankle and watched it, like it was.
Awesome, Dustin. So we're talking Gordon Hayward. Or if you have an ankle, everybody watching here has an ankle.
Yeah, like I would say.
So that. You saw the looks on everyone's faces. It wasn't just the Celtics players. It wasn't just the Cavs players. It was the fans there. I still have Marv Albert's.
Kevin Harlan.
It's Kevin Harlan. I keep saying Marv Albert because they sound the same to me. Kevin Harlan's voice in my head.
His leg.
Hayward has broken his leg. Hayward has broken
his
his leg. And it just doesn't stop playing in my head. I can hear it so clearly. Get out of my head, type of thing.
It reminded me of the Kevin Ward.
From Louisville.
That's
honestly,
what it
that was
reminded me of.
worse to me because that was literally bone sticking out of leg.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
bad,
completely
but
out
that
of leg.
was
And I've
like-
had people say, "Oh, it's like a mix between this and this." I'm like, "No, it's not
Well, I mean,
at all."
I forgot about his legs as shin, right?
Snapped.
Shin snapped.
The bone was literally out of his leg. That is so much worse than what happened with Hayward.
The injury it reminded me most of is Paul George's.
It's the exact same injury as Paul George. Exact same
forgot
injury.
about
He
Paul
reached
George.
out to
Yeah.
Hayward. I mean, again, it's via Twitter. I know athletes are
Instead
big
of Kobe.
in type of thing. But they both reached out to them and said, "Stay strong, get back, get healthy."
I mean,
type of thing.
and seeing Paul George come back and be just as good as he was before, I mean, just gives me a lot of hope for Hayward.
I mean, Hayward is
Coming
going to
back.
be fine. He'll be out for a year.
it's not,
Now,
it's
hold
not
on.
as
Now-
severe as Paul George is.
Right, and I also want to say that there were very conflicting reports this morning via Twitter because he went into surgery late last night,
Yeah.
like 1 a.m.
They
or
just
12
flew him straight back to Boston.
Right, like I want to say like 10, 11 o'clock. He went into surgery, and they came out and there were conflicting reports. One, I think it was his father was tweeting out things like that as well, saying how well everything went. I think his agent was coming out saying, or there was a sports reporter coming out and said that likely best case scenario he could be back in like March, April, which is so weird for me to say. And then his agent came out and pretty much said he ain't coming back.
Yeah.
So. But the Celtics, as a team, have yet to put a timeline on this. And I get the agent is doing that. He's trying to cover his own butt. But the Celtics have yet to really come out with the timeline.
And there have sort of been conflicting reports about what
Actually
exactly
happened.
the injury
Right.
is, because
all I keep seeing is dislocated ankle.
the
and
Globe
broken
had
tibia.
initially reported just a dislocated ankle. Brad Stevens said dislocated ankle and fractured tibia.
Right.
Then the report the next day on ESPN was a fractured ankle, didn't mention a tibia.
Right. And then
So
I've heard
there's
clean
just
break
not-
of the tibia. So
yeah.
And it really
until they
is-
come out and say what our timeline is and what we really can't speculate on that. But we can speculate. We don't. I say we don't. The Celtics do not have Gordon Hayward for a majority of this year,
Well, and if
regardless.
the Celtics are intelligent, you don't bring him back even if
No,
you can.
you don't.
You let him heal properly before you bring him back because you don't want him for 1 year. You want him
but
for his career.
If that timetable of getting healthy is 6 months, then it's not out of the question to say, yeah, he could come back for
If he's healthy.
playoffs.
I mean, I trust
wouldn't
Danny
do it.
Ainge and Brad Stevens. Both of them are smart enough.
Don't ask
to
Isaiah
make-
Thomas. Apparently, they
to
don't
make
trust
the
him.
right-
If anything, Hayward's going to be out there on Friday.
Now,
So-
did you actually, speaking of Isaiah, did you actually see his report of Cavaliers said you need to go have surgery now and get this over with? And he said that's the same thing Boston said, and I don't want to do it. I love it. Yes, you need surgery.
completely contradicts what he was saying before about Ainge saying like you need to play. So
I mean, I didn't see that, but going back to the Hayward injury, surgery was successful, according to his father this morning. So the surgery was successful, and it's
stop
interesting.
repeating my sources.
It's interesting with an
Hayward's
ankle.
dad texted Paul this morning.
Oh, did he?
Okay.
That's good to know.
He's like, hey, P. Diddy.
Because the thing about an ankle is that if it's the ankle
It's not.
itself, there are so many mini bones. There's so many things in the ankle that could be coming to play. But if it's just like the tibia, and then the tibia, and the ankle is,
Sorry, you're only a couple letters away from talking about something inappropriate.
Okay.
So that's
It's
why I
not
said
so
that.
much that there's little bones. It's the question of how much ligament damage did it
Right.
get.
But let's
go
not.
along with it.
But we're not doctors. We're more on the sports fan. Let's talk about that aspect of it. So that's what I'm trying to get at is
as a sports fan,
the impact
yourself,
of
man.
the impact of Hayward.
So here's my hot take of the day because I am a Kyrie Irving hater. Losing Gordon Hayward is a bigger loss than losing Kyrie Irving for the Celtics.
Big time. Big. That's the
Not
worst
a
hot
chance.
take. Oh my God,
Awful.
you're on fire, dude.
And I'm a firm believer that do not push the panic button on
Absolutely.
Boston
This
at
is
all.
what I said.
I still think they take the number 1 seed in the East. I absolutely
That's
do.
a hot take.
So
And
besides
there-
Hayward,
there's
who's
a
scoring
reason
on that
why.
team right now for the Celtics?
Kyrie
Brown?
Irving, Jalen Brown.
So it all depends
Jason
on the development of Jason Tatum and
Exactly.
Jalen Brown, which they both looked fantastic
The first
opening
two
night,
games.
right? And they're like,
0-2.
developed. Brown looked great.
They're
Jason
0-2.
Tatum.
They played the team that went to the finals last year without what's supposed to be one of their rejuvenated player or a new player that completely sucked the life out of them with injury. Then they had to go play the Greek Freak the next day at home. So they had to travel to
Schedule
do that.
loss.
I mean, come on. Are you kidding me, Dustin?
But
that's
Jason
the reason?
Tatum, the thing that impressed me most is that, I mean, LeBron ended up guarding Jason Tatum
Yeah.
quite a bit, and Tatum was going at him.
He wasn't
was
afraid.
fearless. He wasn't afraid. It's the best player in the world, and he's challenging him.
And tell me if
he
you're
lost
not,
a few times, as a rookie would
Oh,
to
without
LeBron,
a doubt.
but he looks
Does
great.
Brown not make you think of a young LeBron James? The way he powers the ball. He is strong. He's athletic. He can dribble. He can shoot. That kid's going to be a monster when he gets his feet
It's going to be
under
good.
him.
And I mean, all the moves that Danny Ainge made
Are coming
over this
together.
offseason, they're coming together, but it's It is both about challenging the Cavs right now, but it's also setting up the Celtics really well in the future for the eventual
Here's
LeBron
Here's the thing, when
descent.
you look from year to year, what was one of the biggest moves the Celtics made this year? They took away Kyrie Irving from Cleveland. That to me says more than losing Gordon Hayward. You took one of their best players away and made them a little worse. Now, you gave them a couple players, but that player isn't going to be playing this year.
But this is a player that
But they are going to miss Jay
practically
Crowder.
hated in the Cleveland locker room. If you've seen the reports,
regardless if
coming out
you
of
hated
Cleveland
him in the locker room or not, Dustin, his performance on the court.
but the Cavs team
Not
chemistry
of
has gotten
those
better.
awesome
best.
handshakes after the game, till the end.
Those were fantastic. That he still remembered them all.
I don't believe that anytime a player leaves, all the drama is going to come out. All these people are going to come out and say he wasn't liked. There was issues. You can't listen to any of that crap. At the end of the day, the fans loved him. The teammates loved him. You could see it on and off the court. Yeah, there were some rough times at the end of it between him and LeBron. You could clearly see it. But that wasn't the way it was the entire time.
I look at last year's roster for the Celtics, and I just picked like 6 players. I got Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, and Kelly Olynyk. Those are like your 6 kind of like those were your players. You look at this year, I see Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, and Terry Rozier. I love this year's roster more than I did last year's roster, and that team was first in the East last year.
I think the Celtics did lose a little depth.
Sure,
Yes.
I know that.
That's the trouble.
But I love.
Who can they get?
But
Okay, well, what was
probably get
Hayward's
somebody.
biggest contribution this year?
3-point and being able to handle the ball.
Okay, you telling me we can't find that
plays
anywhere?
decent defense
No
as well.
offense. No
Yeah,
offense.
he's
You telling
not
me we
Jay
can't-
Crowder on defense, but
and the Celtics clearly showed that they were not a good 3-point shooting team against Cleveland last. And honestly, because they missed a couple opportunities at the end where they could have taken that game.
Yeah.
But you're telling me there's not a veteran or someone out there that can take somewhat of a league minimum, not a league minimum, but something to be that 3-point shooter and add to that.
Oh, without a
there's your
doubt.
depth and
It's
there's
going
your
to be
3-point
interesting
shooter.
to see when March comes around and when the buyouts come around to see who exactly lands on the market, because that will be the big question for the Celtics. Will be who, when people are getting bought out at the trade deadline.
there's a lot of
I don't
time
think it's
left
going to take
for
that
Ainge
long.
to do something.
Right, and he still has a lot of puzzle pieces.
But I also
to
want to
prove
say
around, too.
that the Aaron Baines pickup is like an underrated pickup for the Celtics, because they last year were desperate for interior defense and rebounding,
Yep.
and he's supplying some of that.
Oh, without a doubt. The other thing to remember, too, especially in the East, is
And he's
Cleveland
all of
doesn't-
Australia.
Cleveland doesn't care about winning the East.
No, at all.
They
No,
don't
they
at
don't.
all. So being able to take the number 1 spot in the East
That game
isn't the
definitely
hardest thing in the world.
Definitely meant more to the Celtics last night on Tuesday night than it did to Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Warriors. The Warriors lost on Tuesday. I don't think it meant anything to them.
No.
because
I think
it
Steve
meant
Kerr-
more to Houston to have to win that game than it did to
Golden State
I
doesn't
think
care.
Steve Kerr was trying to knock his team down a peg. If you look at who he gave minutes in that game, he definitely gave some players that you wouldn't normally get minutes in primetime
They
games
were in
minutes.
foul trouble from the opening tip.
But-
There were more fouls called in that game than I've ever seen in an NBA game in my life. Every player had 4 fouls in that game. Literally, almost every starter in that game had 4 fouls.
Translating NBA preview. Bryce's specialty because
Right.
he doesn't like talking football.
I like
How do we
talking
talk?
football.
How's it his specialty? You always yell at me for talking
Because
basketball.
when he came on, we finally started talking basketball.
Well, because you refused to do it.
We had to talk basketball because otherwise Bryce would sit there drinking his coffee looking pretty. Now he can sit there and drinking his coffee looking pretty talking about basketball.
We should get him a beard comb while he sits here. He can drink his coffee.
he does
Man,
that
can we
before.
get a pick that I can just like leave?
No.
in
There we
the
go.
beard?
I like it. I like it.
Time?
No,
I like it.
no funding for that. Going on.
funding.
All right, come on.
Hey, I
Let's
figured
start.
out how to just keep a Pop-Tart balanced in here. What's happening? Yeah, so this year's NBA preview, like I did last year, I kind of came up with a preseason ranking. Now, that got changed a little bit with Gordon Hayward coming out, and this is the segment that John loves to just yell at me about, so I'm going to subject myself to some abuse. So,
Can I take this segment off just because he's going to be yelling so much?
No, but you can't take that weird bracelet off. What's going on with that?
Your bracelet's
It's like you just got back from like Tahiti or something.
No, Allie made these for me for my birthday, and I wear them all the time. So
Adorable. Go on.
that was actually my preview, my whole preview. You stole it.
we're going to talk about the
hot
bracelet.
take.
If we're talking about yelling at people, I yell at you more than I yell at him.
We're not talking about the Texans. We're talking about basketball. So
We'll get
you'll be
there
yelling directly
after.
at him.
Don't worry, we'll get to the Charlotte
Texans.
Hornets.
And I have no delusions that my team, the Orlando Magic, are going to be good.
I have
So-
delusions.
My,
The Magic are back.
Okay, let's go.
so here's my biggest takeaway. Eastern Conference, I think, is much easier to predict than the West.
Are you doing top to bottom or bottom to top?
Please do
Top to
bottom.
please.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
All right, so Eastern Conference, like, we know who the elite teams are and everybody else, right? So
The elite team is and everybody else.
now, here's the thing. Even with Hayward healthy, I was still going to side with Cleveland making the finals, again, facing the Warriors.
Want to talk? Well,
Now that Hayward is definitely out, I think that it's the Cavs to lose. So, Cleveland #1. I've now, with the Hayward injury, changed a lot of things. So now Toronto #2, Washington #3, Boston, I still think coming in at #4, but I think there's a good chance that #5, Milwaukee, could take that from the Celtics. #6, Miami. #7, Philly. Philly is making the playoffs this year.
The process.
They're trusting the process.
I trust the process.
coming to fruition.
Can we really put a big emphasis there if people stay healthy?
Right. Right. If
Yes.
Joel Embiid can play 50 games, and if Ben Simmons is as good as everybody says he is, they're throwing that in with Rookie of the Year, Dario Saric, which, I mean, really, Joel Embiid should have been
Hold
Rookie of
up,
the Year.
hold up. He only won Rookie of the Year.
Because Joel Embiid was out.
But it was the weakest rookie class in the last 10 years.
But think about
anyway.
it. They have the Rookie of the Year and the guy who should have been Rookie of the Year on the same team. That's legit. Julia Okafor, it's
He'll
fine.
probably be traded before the end of the year.
Yeah, he can't play defense. But I think the addition of J.J. Redick is super good for this team. I think gives them good three-point shooting, gives them a good veteran presence.
That's
For
what they
big
need.
guys
That's
down
the
That's
big
below.
what they
thing.
really need is a couple of veterans to help lead
so
that team.
he's not going to be the star go-to guy, but I think he's going to be a great presence. And Brett Brown, I like Brett Brown as a coach.
I do
gotta
too.
say.
Brett Brown's a good coach.
So now I have
Yeah.
Charlotte rounding out the playoff picture at #8. We'll see when the Dwight Mayer starts happening.
Well,
As a Magic
with the
fan, I
Hornets,
know
the
about
big thing
that.
of the Hornets, and you noticed it last night as a Hornets fan, is without Batum, we don't have as good, we need scoring. We need Batum back. We just need him back. It's just
Yeah.
that simple.
For sure.
Do I get to trash you on your picks per conference, or do I have to wait till the very end?
oh my God, just do it now.
You can trash per counter. So I'll finish it off. I've the rest. #9, Detroit.
Wait, we had the whole thing?
#10, Orlando. #11, the Knicks. #12, the Nets. #13, Indiana. #14, Atlanta. And #15, Chicago Bulls. Because their best players are Zach LaVine, Robin Lopez, and Nikola Mirotic, who is in the hospital
Because he got
a player
sucker
got
punched by
That's
a
right, 'cause
teammate.
somebody punched him at practice.
I love that. Quick, you have 30. Can you do it in 45 seconds?
45 seconds.
Go.
Absolutely. The biggest downfall I have is I don't necessarily disagree with a whole lot of that. I love the Bucks. I love that team. They are dynamic. They are linky.
And when
they are
Jabari Parker
strong.
gets back,
they are going to
Good.
be deadly.
I can see the Bucks being a 2 seed in the East.
They could be.
I can see it.
They could be.
The Bucks, if healthy, the Bucks can even overthrow Cleveland. They have that much talent on that team.
I'm not going that far.
I will. They are long. They are tall. They have good shooting. They have a great low presence, and they can rebound the ball better than anyone. And the Greek Freak is living up to that name.
I mean, he's going to be an MVP in this league. I think he's already getting good odds for it this year. I think for Cleveland, I mean, they have LeBron. I think later in the season when Isaiah Thomas is back, that's going to change a lot. Kevin Love, I think the addition
We're
of...
assuming Isaiah Thomas comes
Yeah,
back.
no, for
and
sure.
On top of that,
For
you have
sure.
a Cleveland team that has so many changes that already has LeBron frustrated that you are going to have a dramatic season where you're going to have a LeBron that has his little hissy fit that has to create the stir-up
But
before
here's
he
the
moves
thing.
to L.A.
Here's the thing. His best friend Dwayne Wade is on the team now.
Yeah, like-
that's going to keep him happy.
Honestly,
Dwayne Wade, I think,
I really like them together again.
as Dwayne Wade not
How good was
expected...
he? Did Dwayne Wade
No,
do
but here's
anything?
the thing.
But did
here's
he
the thing.
have to
He's
do
not
anything?
expected.
Did
to
you
do
watch
anything.
have to do
Wait,
anything?
whoa, hold up. Did you watch any of the Bulls games last year? Because Dwayne Wade, yes, he cannot play the 40 minutes.
Dustin, we're talking about this year, though. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, did you do anything on Tuesday? And I'm saying, no, he
One
didn't.
game.
But he doesn't
But-
have to do anything.
It's one game. That's overreaction.
It's like he's LeBron's hype man. It's all he has to be.
He's LeBron's hype man,
Seriously,
and he
just
can
be
still
there.
give you a solid
Be there
20
for his
minutes a
buddy.
game. That's all Dwayne Wade needs to
Solid
do.
20 minutes. Yeah, he can be on the court for 20 minutes. He doesn't do
Didn't have a
anything.
he's Didn't he have a
still
block towards the
good.
end of the game? I think he had a block towards the end of the game.
Yeah, but
though,
Dwayne, obviously, we're not talking about like 2006 Dwayne Wade at the top of his game.
Clearly.
He's still a good player.
Yeah,
he's
here's
still
the
a
thing.
good role piece.
We don't need superstar Dwayne Wade.
No.
Right? We have plenty of other people on that team
Yes.
who can fill that role. We also don't need superstar Derrick Rose.
No.
I love him as eventual backup point guard, but just the guy
this
running
is
the
other
point
thing,
right
is
now.
You look at a player like Derrick Rose, who's got so much drama and issues himself. Does he last a season?
But he
Or does
honestly-
he go MIA again for who knows
put up
why?
decent numbers in New York last year.
And the Knicks are a dumpster fire. So
They
you
are.
You cannot hold anything that a player does in New York City against them because the Knicks are such a trashy.
It's like
it's
like Carmelo. I'm so excited
like,
to see him in Oklahoma
the
City.
Knicks are
'Cause he
trashy.
could
I
be
love the
Olympics,
fact that everyone
Carmelo.
thinks he is OKC is going to be the just wipe the floor with the Warriors. I find that funny.
No.
No.
to the West.
All right, so good segue to the West.
Did I only do?
I would like
was
to point
close
out,
enough?
Bryce, just for the record, I agree with your 8 teams in the playoffs, but I think there'll be different seedings. I think a few of them might be moving up or down. But I
legit.
agree with that core of 8. But anyway, let's do the West.
All right, so Western Conference. This is much harder to predict because it's stinking loaded.
Well, before you go into this, the simple fact that there's finally talk about reseeding the playoffs, so it's the top 16 teams.
Yeah.
Thank you, because this is the reason why. Because there are almost 16 teams in the West that I'd rather have in the playoffs than in the East.
There are only 15 teams in the West.
Exactly.
But you can add one.
Cleveland.
Well, you're going to
Anyway.
take Cleveland out because everyone's going in the West anyway.
Right.
That's true. Which, as an aside on the offseason, I don't understand why more superstars went west instead of east. Because they're just like setting themselves up for
real.
or for failure.
You want an easy trip to the playoffs?
Like,
go to the East. I don't understand what the problem is.
Hayward was the smart one to go east.
He's getting paid.
Yeah. So for Western Conference, number 1, Golden State.
No.
Hot take alert!
Are you kidding me?
I know.
Wow.
This might be the hottest take on the history of Huddle Up.
Number 2, Houston. Number 3, San Antonio.
Okay.
Number 4, Oklahoma City. Here's what I like about Oklahoma City. I'm not super sure how Westbrook and Paul George are going to work together. We'll figure something out. I have no trust whatsoever in Billy Donovan as a coach. But here's what I love. I love Olympics Melo because he's not the go-to guy, and he can be the dude around the perimeter looking for the spot-up shooting
Right, he's not
that
the-
gets
he's
open
not your
and people
number
pass
one.
to, and he's killer, right? That's going to be his role in Oklahoma
You're
City.
going to look
and
up
I
a lot,
love that.
in February and, just months to be like, oh, Melo dropped 30 points tonight in an Oklahoma City one?
I got him on
why?
my fantasy team.
I hate fantasy teams.
So, number 5, the Clippers. Number 6, throwing in Minnesota. I think
Why are you scared of that? Minnesota
because
looks
everyone
dangerous.
thought that last year too, and they ended up being terrible.
Nah,
That's
Minnesota's got.
But with the addition of
now.
Jimmy Butler, hopefully Tibbs could actually get them to play defense this year, and we'll see. So here's where things I think get a lot less
Wide open.
confident. I have number 7, Portland. I think the addition of Yusuf Nurkic down low will actually do a lot for Lillard.
Do you
and
really
McCollum.
feel that way, or do you just like saying his name?
Portland's a spooky good team. You're not going to talk about them, but they'll be in the
Spooky
playoffs.
good.
Spooky good. I like
Nice
spooky
Halloween.
good. There you go.
It gets seasonal. Number 8, Denver.
Yep.
I like the addition of Paul Millsap. Millsap and Jokic working together. I like Wilson Chandler. I like Will Barton coming off the bench. Their problem is going to be starting point guard. I don't think they have any trust in Emmanuel Mudiay anymore.
Why would they?
They waived Jameer Nelson because they're picking up Richard Jefferson. So we'll have to see how that goes. Number 9, I have Utah, but I still think that they could make a run to get a lower seed in the playoffs. They have Rudy Gobert. They added Ricky Rubio, Derek Favors.
You know
they
what I
have
love about the
ISO
Ricky
Joe
Rubio
Johnson.
move is that they added Ricky Rubio thinking he's going to come here with Gordon Hayward, and then Gordon Hayward leaves.
Yeah.
I hate
But
that.
I love their coach, Quinn Snyder.
Nice name.
Number 10, I have the Lakers. I think I like Brook Lopez. People, I think, forgot how good he was because he was in Brooklyn.
I feel like the Lakers are like one greatest player in the world away from being a top tier team.
They're just so young.
It's probably
Yeah,
gonna
that's the
happen.
thing.
It's probably
They
gonna
just
happen
need to
next.
so
It's
young.
probably gonna happen next year.
But I think the future looks great for LA. They're going to be climbing every year, I
Well,
think.
this is the only downfall. Is
They add
you
LeBron
darn
though.
well know that next year, half the Lakers team right now is not going to be on that team because they're going to trade
That's true.
everybody away to pull in the superstars.
Yep.
And you're going to have the Lakers are going to be the New York Yankees of 2001.
They're going to be the
They lost
LA
in
Lakers of
2001.
2001.
Yeah, the Yankees lost in 01. Just throwing it out there.
They're going to be the LA Lakers of 01, 02, 03. I love Luke Walton as a coach.
I do, too.
also. So, number 11, New Orleans. I just don't know how Davis and Cousins work together. I secretly hope that they get sick of each other and Danny Ainge makes a move for Anthony Davis.
I don't want that at all.
Anthony
That would be amazing.
Anthony Davis is not leaving New Orleans.
No, I don't
There's
see it either.
no way. Unless
I don't know.
No, you would have
Just don't do anything. They got
No.
their point guards are Drew Holiday, who's okay, Rondo, Tony Allen. Number 12, Memphis. Number 13, Sacramento. Number 14, Dallas. Number 15, Phoenix. Eric Bledsoe's probably not going to finish the season on the team because they're trying to trade him like crazy. So
I don't argue any of that except for one. I
Yeah.
would still put the Spurs above Houston. And my
Yeah.
biggest curiosity is
Could be.
you can see that Chris Paul and Harden, they really don't play well together. They
Paul had
played
a bad
really
night.
well. Paul played really well with Harden on the bench.
They're funny in commercials, though.
And you separate those two, and that team looks really good. Playing together, they don't look good.
But I also trust it in the Mike D'Antoni offense to see how that.
To see where
They'll
it comes
figure
out,
out
I
a
just have
way.
more faith in San Antonio staying true than Houston because I feel like Houston's going to be this roller coaster.
But I also love Eric Gordon. Also depends on how.
Well,
Eric Gordon
obviously,
plays.
he was
and
sixth player
PJ
of the year.
Tucker actually adds a good defensive presence for them, which is strange for a Mike D'Antoni team.
I mean, the only reason why they won Tuesday night is because Golden State stopped playing like completely.
Bringing it back to Vermont, keeping it in basketball.
go.
Bryce wanted to chat a little bit about the UVM America East preseason team acknowledgments. We got two players.
Yeah, Trey Bell Haynes and Anthony Lamb. Trey Bell Haynes is a senior. Anthony Lamb is a sophomore, both getting preseason all-conference nods. UVM last year, the first team in America East history to go undefeated in the conference.
We're ranked number 1 in the conference to start this
Yep.
year, aren't
Who's
we?
this
Yep,
we? You
I mean-
playing too?
Huh?
Who's this we? Are you playing too?
I am.
It's a great team. I'm so excited to watch them again this year. I mean, they went to March Madness, didn't lose badly to Purdue. I mean, they were right
they had
in
a
the game.
chance.
It's just the size of Purdue killed
And they
them.
also had the injury at the end that kind of
Yep.
took the wind out of the sails.
But yeah, looking
That's our
forward to this
first,
season.
and that's our first topic for home field advantage. Another segment on Huddle Up that we want to bring to your attention for anyone watching is we want to kind of bring in the local sports too. It was one of the reasons we started the show, so we're just kind of trying to bring that back. I'm going to take John's time because he doesn't have anything to say for home field advantage. But Dustin, we're going to go football, gridiron.
Yeah, Gridiron Vermont playoffs. A good matchup Friday. BFA plays Rice at BFA. I believe there is a soccer game followed up by a football game. So if you're in the St. Albans area, great night of just sports at BFA. This
Traffic's
this
always
Friday.
terrible. It takes me so long to get to the complex.
It's
it's really hard for
good
both
joke.
of us. We live right behind it.
Yeah, I know. That's
You guys have such a traffic complex.
Also, I'd like to just give a quick shout out to the Milton football team. They lost their first game last week. They've been very good this year. Chance to compete for the state championship at
Division two?
Division 2. And it's going to be very interesting to watch. Playoffs are coming up for all Vermont sports: Vermont volleyball, soccer, football, field hockey. But playoffs.
So basically, fall sports.
Fall sports playoffs are going to come up starting next week. By the time we have our show next week, I think some soccer playdowns will be taken
we'll start
care.
already.
And just really good season to go out and just the weather's going to be nice. Go out and catch some games.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
my
actually just because you said playdowns. I'm really upset that it's not called play-ons for Vermont because they kind of changed it. It's playoffs, not playdowns, not playoffs.
Well, I bet if you called Bob Johnson, you'd pick his ear about that.
I probably could. Staying with football, going to Division III. I had a chance to sit down with the MVU head football coach Eric Bushy, coming up to their last game of the season. They're 0-6, I believe, on the season so far, with one last chance to grab that elusive first win for MVU football team. So now we're going to listen to that now. and we'll be back after that.
Currently with head coach of the Missisquoi Valley Union football team, Coach Eric Bushy. Eric, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, Paul, how's it going?
Doing pretty well. I see you guys had a very encouraging game against Springfield this last week, even though you didn't get the loss, but you still put a lot out there on the field and didn't really leave a lot out there. Could you talk a little bit about your loss, unfortunately, to Springfield this last weekend?
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it, actually. It really was encouraging. A lot of the kids were down and out about it, but as a coaching staff, it's the first time I would really say in the 2 years that we looked like a legitimate football team. We played together. We played hard. It's the first time I ever heard another coach come over and tell us that we were a physical football team. The kids just wanted it. We just made a couple of simple mistakes here and there, and they didn't. They have the experience factor on their side, and I think as soon as we break through and get that first one, I think we'll be a team to watch out for.
What was the difference maker this time around as opposed to the last 6 games or so?
I think if you look, just because you get a copy of our film every week, we're just improving constantly, and with that improvement, the confidence is going up. I think scoring 3 touchdowns last week or 2 weeks ago now on the Woodstock first team defense, kids looked at that like, whoa, we can actually score points on this. And then with that, the defense just came with it. I think we put in a pretty solid game plan. We just tried to stop 21 on their team, and unfortunately a couple times we didn't, and he found the end zone.
Can you talk about one of the biggest plays that I remember seeing from the film was Matthew Sweet's 95-yard interception for a touchdown. Can you talk a little bit about his efforts on the field?
Yeah, well, first of all, that's the first actual defensive touchdown in MVU football history, so it's a pretty big deal anyway, so that was pretty cool to get that on that night. But he was actually out of position, too, and he went up one-handed and snagged the ball out of the air, and once he gets an open field, he has speed to run away from just about anybody in the league. And he had to weave through a couple of guys. We had some good blockers. They were going downfield, make sure no one touched him, and he made an incredible athletic play.
So now looking forward to Saturday against BFA Fairfax, can you give us a quick little preview of what we can expect come Saturday?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this. We're actually dubbing this the Maple Bucket Bowl. So we're going to be playing for a trophy. We're making an annual rivalry between Fairfax and MVU. So the kids are excited. I think that we're going to score points, and our goal defensively is to stop them from scoring. I think our offense has proven throughout the year it's steadily improved. Defensively, we had our best outing last week, and if we can just build off that and execute the game plan that we're installing, I think it's going to be a very good game to watch.
One thing I've noticed from seeing film throughout this entire year, you seem to be a very big fan of not only just the onside kick, but maybe the squib kick. Can you tell me what's your reasoning for taking that approach as opposed to maybe trying to pin their offense back a little farther back on the field?
So that actually comes from basically the last 10 years at Winooski. And that we just saw that anytime we kicked it deep, they would return it to the 50-yard line anyways. So we figured, why not give ourselves a chance? And with the speed that we have out there on the edge, every single time, you've seen the film, we're right there. We're just off a little bit. And that's really what it comes from, is that if we're going to give up the field position anyways, we might as well give ourselves a chance to get the ball back.
Is the door currently closed on you guys for the playoffs, or is there still a chance for you guys to be able to see postseason play?
No, actually, all 7 teams in Division III make the playoffs this year. So we're fighting for playoff seeding right now with the 7th seed, which would put us to the loser of the Windsor-Woodstock game this Saturday. If we can beat Fairfax, I believe we would climb into the 6th seed, which would put us back down in Mill River next weekend.
We've talked about kind of off camera about the extra pressure possibly with Missisquoi because of when you're dealing with community support and school funding. Do you feel like there's extra pressure this year, or maybe just this weekend in general, because you haven't gotten that elusive win just yet, being able to grab that and put maybe like cap off the season on a really high note?
I think the steady improvement that we've shown throughout the year has has really been our calling card. If you look last year, we averaged 6 points a game. This year we're averaging about 25 points a game. So you can see that the improvement is there, and hopefully the community just sees that and sees that we're getting better as a football program. We're getting better as a team, and that the kids are really starting to buy into what we're trying to teach them.
So we have MVU versus BFA Fairfax. It's 1 o'clock, correct? 1 o'clock this weekend?
Yes, it is. Home Thunder Valley.
Okay, so you'll see MVU take on BFA Fairfax for the Battle of the Maple Bucket?
The Maple Bucket Bowl.
The Maple Bucket Bowl this Saturday at 1 o'clock. Coach, thank you very much for joining us here on Huddle Up.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so that was MVU football coach Eric Bushy being able to sit with me via phone interview and talk about the upcoming game, and hopefully we'll be able to do that for next week as well, which I think would be great to just kind of cap off the MVU season. Staying with football, our favorite segment, NFL picks. So we'll jump into that, give an update of how well or not well we're doing this year. I'm at the top at 52 and 39. JT with an asterisk at 40 and 51, and Dustin at 49 and 42. So just
I haven't
a few
gotten
games
one wrong
behind.
yet.
And Bryce is undefeated at 0
We get, we get our
missed
Bryce
Bryce's,
lock of
Bryce
the
lock
week.
of the
Bryce lock of the week, right.
Which is always wrong. And it's fantastic.
So we'll jump into the first game. Is tonight, again, Thursday, Kansas City versus Oakland. If you looked at this game at the beginning of the year, you probably said it's probably one of the best Thursday night games that we could ask for. However, there are injuries that plague both sides. So what are we looking at again for tonight?
Looking at the Kansas City win on Thursday Night Football.
I am very torn on this game. With as bad as Kansas City played last week, I can see them wanting to come out strong, but at the same token, it's at home for Oakland. They need a big win to get out of this losing streak.
Kind of play.
I'm going to go with Oakland. And it pains me to say that because this is a hard game to play.
Right. I really like Oakland at home this week. I think it's one of those do or die situations for your season. If you don't beat a team like Kansas City, you're likely not going to move on to the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of err on that side of caution and go, I really would like to see. I think Oakland's going to just kind of give a little more this week.
It's a you got to win game for them.
Right.
I think they're going to give a little more, but they're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs. I don't really.
And I agree. I tend to agree with you on that as well. But it's something about Oakland tonight.
I don't know. Maybe it's something like growing up watching the AFC South and watching Jack Del Rio coach Jaguars teams. I just don't believe in him as a long-term solution for head coach. And a great example of this is getting rid of the offensive coordinator last year and not getting rid of your defensive coordinator when your defense gave up a ton of points last year. I just don't think he's a great decision maker. He got a little lucky last year. I think the Chiefs win tonight. Raiders fall to 2-5. Raiders missed the playoffs this year.
I'm taking Kansas City. I just have Derek Carr has been my fantasy quarterback, and I am actively dropping him.
Funny enough, Alex Smith is actually my fantasy quarterback, and I'm hoping for a big game for him tonight, but I'm not. I'm picking against it, I guess.
No faith in Oakland's offense.
All right, next game.
Tampa Bay at Buffalo.
Taking Bills.
Dustin with the Bills.
Yep, me too.
Everyone with the Bills.
Jameis Winston out.
He is out?
He is. I think he's got a
Hey,
shoulder
go
swing.
Bills.
I think the Bills are going to win. I think the Bills are a better team than we think they are and have a chance to sneak into that.
I don't think they're a better team than we think they are. I think they're not playing the right teams. I think if they played a stronger competition, they would be exactly who we would.
No, I think
Their
Bills
defense has been phenomenal.
I think the
this
Bills
year.
can be they are a quiet team, and I think they'll get the 4-2 this weekend, and we won't talk about them.
Cincinnati Bengals.
But they have a chance to
And they were on a bye
get that sixth spot in the playoffs.
But they played Miami and the Jets as well.
They played the Miami and Jets 2 more times.
But I'm saying like one more time each.
Well, yeah, about two
What
total,
I'm saying
but,
is like they've played
And they
teams
beat
that
Seattle.
shouldn't be
yeah,
at home.
they beat Denver at home too.
Did they play Denver at home?
They played Denver at home and beat Denver at home. Anyway,
I feel like they're not getting the. It's hard for me to give credit to their defense when I feel like they're not getting the best offensive.
Did the Patriots struggle against the Jets? I think they did.
I think the Jets are better than we think they are. Anyway, what's the next game?
Well, we're talking about the Bills.
I know, but you're saying the Jets aren't a team that's any good. But
The Patriots defense is completely terrible. Completely terrible. But I'm not talking about that about the Bills. I'm saying the Bills.
I'm just saying.
Carolina at Chicago.
Carolina.
Yeah, I think we can all kind of go there.
I like Trubisky, but not against Carolina.
Even at home?
Trubisky.
No.
Carolina's looked good recently.
Tennessee at Cleveland.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Browns suck.
There's no argument there.
New Orleans at Green Bay.
New Orleans.
It's one of those
New Orleans.
when you have when you lose Aaron Rodgers, home or not.
If Rodgers was in that game, it's Rodgers all day long. But because Breeze really hasn't. The New Orleans team hasn't done much this year, but against a Rodgers-less Packers team,
They can outshoot them.
Jacksonville at Indianapolis.
Jacksonville.
Taking Jacksonville.
Oh, I got everybody going. And then London game, which I thought was kind of cool. They're actually doing a night game in London this week, so it's a 6 o'clock game out in London, but a 1 o'clock game for us. So it makes no difference to us other than the fact it might look dark when we're watching the game. Going back and forth. Arizona at Los Angeles. This
Rams.
sounds like a great game.
it
Taking
does.
the Rams.
I am on the Rams
Arizona.
hype train.
Okay.
I think the Rams win that division. I will stick to that.
I think
Go Rams.
what Peterson does to that offense
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
makes it so much easier for Carson Palmer, and he has so many threats down the field to throw to, and if you have to box in Adrian Peterson, if he's playing that solid again, good luck.
Him as a running back completely opens up that offense.
Without
I don't believe
a doubt.
Carson
I'm
Palmer's
so
quarterback.
excited to see people like Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, and Adrian Peterson on a team together that can actually do something. I'm
And both
so excited to
Browns
watch
and
that.
J.J. Nelson. I mean, there are
Right.
so many deep ball threats on that team.
Yeah, I'm
Good
going.
luck.
I'm going with the Cardinals as well.
But the Rams offense has been so much
I
fun.
love the Rams.
But you also have to deal with Peterson on the other side
That's
of the ball,
true.
too.
That's true.
Jets at Miami.
I don't know who to pick in
Jets.
this game.
Taking the Jets
I'll take the Dolphins just to be different.
because Jay
And
Cutler.
I just.
Because Jay Cutler.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
taking the
actually-
Jets.
Cutler, I'm taking the Jets.
Actually, I will take the Dolphins in this game because they did come back against the
You already said you
Falcons
were taking the Dolphins.
in Atlanta last week. They're looking like they're starting to turn that corner a little bit.
Whoa! How did they look like they started to turn the corner? No, it looked like Atlanta just went jumping off the cliff.
I think the Dolphins win
Honestly, they
this
couldn't have done it this week. I would have really appreciated that because I feel like they're going to come out Sunday Night Football against the Patriots and throw for like 500 yards. It's going to be so bad, like so bad. Because they say like everyone I've seen like throw out the 28 and 3s, forget about the Super Bowl. This game means that Super Bowl has nothing to do with this game. It means everything to Atlanta. I heard that take from some reporter. I'm like, absolutely not. This means everything to the Atlanta Falcons right now to beat the Patriots at home on Sunday Night Football in front of everybody. This is a huge game for Atlanta. I almost to say, passing off the rest of these picks, I might not even pick the Patriots to win this week because I have absolutely no faith in the fact that they're going to be able to hold off a pissed-off offensive weapon like Atlanta.
I'm picking the Falcons this week, but we're not to that game yet. So
Baltimore at Minnesota.
I hate both of these teams.
Yeah, I don't know how you pick this game.
I
If
hate
you
the
don't
Ravens.
want to watch a football game, this is the
I
one
hate
you
the Ravens.
don't
It's
watch.
Battle of the Purple, man.
This actually might be a great week to like
This
go
is a
apple
Bryce lock right
picking,
there.
If you're in Minnesota,
go pick out a pumpkin for Halloween and just get back for the Patriots Falcons
That's
game.
actually what I'm doing Sunday because
gonna
my
go
team
with,
has a bye. So great
Minnesota.
week for me.
I'm going with Minnesota as well.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota too.
So the Ravens are going to win.
I hate this game so
So
much.
where did you go with?
I'm going with the Vikings, obviously.
Okay, so yeah, Baltimore wins
And
that
then
game.
Joe Flacco's going to
By a
throw
landslide.
400 yards.
Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Cincinnati.
See, if Pittsburgh can just get it, just click, somewhat click, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
But you're going with Cincinnati?
I'm going with Cincinnati.
Bryce, you went with Pittsburgh?
No, I'm going to. Oh yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh.
Okay.
The one.
Cowboys at San Francisco.
Cowboys.
And Cowboys have
Cowboys.
Ezekiel Elliott back because of a weird bylaw crazy thing that says that he
Cowboys.
can play.
Yeah, Cowboys.
PB and J and a little D. Okay.
I love how we're just putting his picks in for him.
Who? He said Cowboys.
No, I said it. I said it.
Broncos at Los Angeles Chargers.
Go Charge, go.
Really,
Broncos.
the Chargers? I'm going to go with the
Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going with the Broncos. Well, I think
With
they get it together.
Chargers have a
bad
two-game
as
Always
win
home field advantage for the other team.
streak. Chargers got a two-game win streak going here. I'm warming up to Phillip Rivers a little bit.
You shouldn't be warming up to Philip Rivers. You should be warming up to Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
He's going off right
But
now.
I like the Chargers in this game.
Seattle at the New York Giants.
Seattle.
I'm going to take the Giants.
No.
Seattle.
Yeah. PB and J on the other side, man.
I think that Denver Bronco win was a fluke, and they're going to
complete
enjoy
fluke.
it.
Complete fluke. But good for them. They didn't go 0-16 this year.
The NFL has been so weird. I can see the Giants winning this game.
Atlanta at New England.
Atlanta.
Everyone picking Atlanta?
I think so. I just.
It's hard not to.
Patriots secondary.
It's our defense.
God,
It's the
awful.
Patriots' defense.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Watch Gilmore have like 3 interceptions. I'd love it. That ain't going to happen, but I'd love
No,
it.
I can see Matt Ryan throwing. If you want to start Matt
500.
Ryan in a game, this is a
the game.
500-yard.
All of my
7
Buffalo fans
touchdown.
are all like, see what we had to deal with?
Washington at Philadelphia.
Philly.
Yeah, I'm
Washington.
PB and J, D on the other side. All right, so this is a make or break week for Dustin. He's going down.
His record's gonna be worse than mine.
I got a timer that says 1 minute. I think we have 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So I will look over to our director. Yeah, ish. So we can take our time on our 2 minute drill. Anything else you want to add to the NFL season or NFL week ahead before we get into our 2 minute drill?
No.
No. Okay. Detroit and Houston are on a bye, which means that Dustin is not watching football this week.
Dustin gets to go pick out a pumpkin this week and have a nice weekend where he's not
That's
stressed
the difference
out.
between you and I.
Even on a bye,
I'll
Detroit
always
is
watch.
somehow still going to lose on like a heartbreaking last-second play.
I'm still gonna.
I am bummed out that the London game isn't at 9:30 in the morning.
I know,
because I
it's
do like
nuts.
coming back from football and being able to, hey, I'll watch the end of the game. It's great, awesome. 2 minute drill. As we finish up here on Huddle Up. Bold predictions for the week ahead and or the year ahead is fine. Last week, just to give you an idea, Dustin said that Joel Embiid would be top 5 pick in MVP voting. JT said that Isaiah Thomas wouldn't play at all this year, and I said, I can't even remember what I said, that the person we'd be talking about after the Celtics game wasn't going to be Kyrie Irving or Gordon Hayward. On the positive side. However, we are talking about on the negative side, but honestly, I feel like someone like Jason Tatum is someone we really are talking about
Tatum and
coming
Brown.
out of that game. So
Yeah.
that's so my bold prediction, I would say I was correct.
Yep.
But not on the negative side, but on the
Yeah.
positive side. So we'll go again for this week. My bold prediction for this week, the Yankees are up right now, 3-2 on the Houston Astros. They were going back home. You got Verlander on the mound on Friday. I think that they tie it up. I honestly think that Houston pulls this off and goes to the World Series and leaves the Yankees fans a little, back in their seat like, well, what just happened? I thought we loved this team.
Well, then, here's my bold prediction. New York Yankees are winning the World Series.
So not just the AFC.
No.
Not just the AFC.
They're winning the World Series.
LCS, the World Series.
Wow. That's bold.
My bold prediction
faith in
is that Colin Kaepernick, as you know, he filed for collusion. He will end up settling and getting a bunch of millions of dollars. He won't. I think he's got a chance to win the case, but I think they'll end up settling. That's my
Green
bold
Bay
prediction.
could've-
Impossible case to win.
That's why that's a bold prediction, JT.
So Cap wins his money.
Cap gets paid.
How much money?
Well-
How much money? How many? Quick.
Up to
put it up.
15 million.
Okay, 15. Thank you.
I want to see him donate all of it to some suffrage
Bold
or
production.
rights.
Go.
Bold production is.
prediction, but that's fine.
How
How have you not been thinking about this?
JT has a bold
I don't
prediction.
know. I've been
for
talking
next
about
week.
other stuff.
Let's go.
I am going to say bold prediction is. I don't know. I'm going to say Cleveland doesn't take first or second seed in the playoffs in the East.
First or second.
Correct.
Terrible.
Okay, that's going to do it for us on Huddle Up. Dustin, JT, Bryce, and myself, Paul. We'll be back next week with another edition on Channel 15 Northwest Access Television.
Woo!